Hey, this is Joe Biden here, and I like corn pops. I also love the YSP podcast. It's my favorite podcast on the thing with the dog-faced pony soldier. Thanks for listening to the YSP podcast. Take the shot. Make America great again, man.
By the way, isn't that like your fourth beer this morning?
Hell yeah! Ha! Man, I'm head to toe legit.
Hey, Dad, why'd you marry that hoe? I don't think it's right for her to tell me to turn off my music.
I can feel it all the way down in my plums.
Yeah!
So the what?
And we're back. Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in. We have another one-on-one interview with my man Gallo. This dude is super interesting. It was really cool to sit down with him. Gallo is host of the Sucias, are my favorite podcast. It's on Spotify, and I found him to be one of the most clear-headed, straight-shooting entrepreneurs in this world of podcasting. In a world, who left the fridge open? In a world where I realized that it doesn't matter how long you've been doing it, you can still be inexperienced. But I'm still pretty new to it, so I think I get a little bit of a pass. But Gallo, who I sat down with, is one of those guys. He's a lot like Mark from the Evil Mark podcast. And check out evilmark.com if you want to get your sports and comedy in a one-stop shop. Because you ain't getting sports here. You know, Gallo and Mark have been doing it a while, and they're fluid in the podcasting game, and it makes the illegitimate newborn child of comedy, such as myself, a little bit better every time I work with guys like that. So it's definitely an honor, and I appreciate the time. I'm definitely not talking about any fucking who. I think you guys are going to enjoy his perspective as much as I did. We really dove into it. We covered everything from upbringing as a Texas Mexican and how he doesn't feel that he falls into the Tejano category because he's open-minded and logical. Not his words, but you'll hear what I mean. We talked about his years spent working for Tesla and the sweet-ass severance package he chose to take when he decided to pursue his dream. We also talked about when he decided that van life might be the road he wants to go on. And the reason he might want to go on that road is because he might have something against roads, because we discussed flying through the air at 50-plus miles an hour after your motorcycle decides to act like a straight-up bitch. Unfortunately, Gallo was stopped with a razor-topped chain link fence and other structures, but it did lead to the, struggling with recovering from long-term injuries that affected some of the most intimate facets of life for a man. But then, like a phoenix from the ashes, or I guess more like a Gallo from the ashes of opioids and acupuncture, Gallo rose to the road of recovery and rehab, through hypnotherapy, CBG, CBN, and BDSM, which we will get into on the next episode. Now, make sure to follow Gallo at Cochino Chingon, COCHINOCHINGON. And if you don't know what that means, you're a nasty motherfucker. That's on Instagram and Reddit, of course. And definitely don't miss his podcast. Sucias are my favorite. And if you don't know what Sucias is, you're going to have to listen to the rest of this episode, because we agree. You can find his podcast on Spotify, Anchor.fm, all the major podcast platforms. And if you're a real Gallo fan, and I mean a real fan, you're going to want to stay tuned, because we actually had a 3-hour conversation, almost. He's a really interesting guy, yo. See what I did there? I think I'm going to leave that in. The next episode, we'll talk about how he got into the BDSM lifestyle and basically started his podcast because he was tired of all the fake doms out there. It's almost the same reason YSP was created, to address the fake-ass pussies in general. But anyways, we'll get to it. Thanks for listening. Make sure to beat the shit out of that subscribe button on the YSPodcast YouTube page. And while you're there, let's start a riot where nobody gets hurt. Just start beating the shit out of subscribe buttons. On Gallo's page, which is Cochino Chingon, and our other buddy Evil Mark's YouTube page. Round them all up and beat the shit out of those subscribe buttons. Hey, do you got something better to listen to? Alright, you maniacs, I'm going to let you get back to being crazier than Kanye at a Kim K lookalike skit on Saturday Night Live. And remember, don't cheat yourself, treat yourself. So, we are sitting here with Gallo, and thank you again for being on the show, I appreciate it. And the host of Sucias are my favorite. Now, they're also my favorite. Would you like to explain to anyone else out there that doesn't speak any Spanish what they mean?
Right. So Sucias, at least for Tex-Mex slang, it probably Mexican border slang is dirty, naughty girl.
Hell yeah.
Because I know in Mexico, my cousin, when I told him, hey, yeah, I like Sucias, he was like, what? And for them, the same kind of term is called puercas. And I was like, what? No, I don't want to mess with the fat girl. Like, no,
Yeah,
no,
sounds a little fat.
Yeah, you know, because puercas are pigs. They're is it pork, pig? You know how like we have different terms like for pork, pig, hog, whatever.
Mhm.
You know, it's kind of like one of those, like cochino. It could be a term for a pig. So it was just kind of like, what? No, I don't want to fuck a fat chick. But yes,
Yeah, never again.
right?
Yeah. But yeah, host of the Sucias are my favorite. Now that you know what it is, you're definitely going to tune in. It's available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Anchor, everywhere you can find a legitimate podcast. You'll find his podcast as well. So you go by Gallo.
Correct.
And Gallo is, what does Gallo mean?
Rooster. Back in 12 years ago, 13 years ago, I had an amazing, glorious mohawk, and I had painted it red, or not painted it. I had a friend of mine that would color it for me. And
yeah, why wouldn't you?
Though.
You know, why wouldn't you?
Yeah. Now I can't because I got a balding spot. So it was weird having
don't
like
we all?
A really thin mohawk, a bald spot, and then like really thick hair, so I had to give it up. But yeah, I got called that from a longboarding riding group that I used to ride with. We'd go into parking garages, bomb down them like 2 or 3 times, and then take off before security showed up. And most of the time, I always had it covered because it was either I had it down in a bandana, and I'd ride to the place either on a motorcycle, so I'd have my motorcycle helmet on, take that off, and put a skate helmet on. And so nobody ever really saw my hair because even if I took it off, a bandana was covering it. But one day, my bandana came off with one of my helmets. Somebody saw it. They just called me Gallo Rojo, so it kind of stuck.
When I first saw your name Gallo, the first thing I thought of was Blood In, Blood Out.
Yeah, I've gotten that a couple of times from older or females my age because, you know, that's a 30-plus-year-old movie now, or actually it'll be 30 next year, I think. But
is it really?
Yeah, it was like 92, 93. It was.
Oh my goodness, I'm getting old.
Yep. And the thing is when it came out on to theaters, it was Bound by Honor. It wasn't until it went out to video, it was called Blood In, Blood Out. And I was pissed because I could never find it on video. I'm like, hey, is Blood In Bound by Honor out? Like, no, what? And it's changed to Blood In, Blood Out, Bound by Honor.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah, that was a classic. I was called Miklo for many years.
I bet that probably pissed you off for a while.
Nah, yeah. Well, eventually it started to. Yeah, but I was okay with it. I mean, I grew up kind of rough and tumble, I guess is a good way to put it. But yeah, they used to cut. That's why when you put you signed in your email no widows were hurt during the. I cracked me up because they used to call me Widow from the Ghetto. You know, that made me laugh.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So your origin, you're in Houston currently?
No, actually I'm in Reno right now. I'm from Houston. I've been all over, mostly like East Coast and the Gulf Coast, and then here 4 years ago moved out to Reno for Tesla.
Oh, okay. You work for Tesla?
Not anymore. I quit, or I took the a severance package right after COVID started.
Oh, okay. So that was probably a good idea because I think they headed to Texas now, right?
Yeah, and that was what pissed me off. Like I took, hey, do you want a severance? Yeah,
I was
sure,
just
I'll take
there.
the severance, fuck it. And then like a month or two later, they announced, okay, yeah, now we're really officially, like there was always rumors that they were going to open up in Austin. And it was like, okay, yeah, as soon as they do, I'm gonna put in my paper. And, oh no, nothing's gonna happen. And then finally, after I, quit, then they say, oh, hey, by the way, we're already in Austin. Like, motherfucker, like I could have gotten a transfer back. Like, oh well.
What did you do for Tesla, if you don't mind me asking?
Maintenance supervisor. So
okay.
I was like in charge of the people that fix things that the dummies break. Guanajuato and Veracruz. Guanajuato my dad's side, Veracruz from my mother's side. And I used to spend my summers there, but also my aunts kind of spread out all over the place. So I'd been to Mexico City, Monterrey, Ciudad del Carmen, Merida. Where else? Altamirano, which is like an hour away from Acapulco. So.
Oh wow! So yeah, you've made the rounds down there. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went to Baja once in TJ, but that's about it. Once you see like the power of the U.S. dollar down there, it's like you wonder why people would risk. I mean, not all people, but people, white people like me. I'll be honest, why they would risk moving down there. But it's not really a risk when you have the dough to do it.
And
you
there's
know.
certain places that are built for expats anyways.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
you
absolutely.
might not speak well English for you to be able to buy and do stuff, but I mean, there's communities where you can be safe enough to be in down there.
Se habla español poco. So we'll get right into a couple things. First, I do have a little kinship with you with the car accidents because I've had a few myself. I had a few major ones. I got to tell you, when I was listening to one of your episodes, I had to skip the part where you were describing the injury because it got to a point where it was like, I didn't know exactly where you were going with it. Plus, I wanted to hear it on the podcast. Plus, I was also about to have dinner. So,
Yeah.
Can you real quick just tell us what happened with the let's see here, when your hip? It looks like your hip was separated.
Yeah. So that one, that was uncomfortable. Essentially, I was riding my motorcycle, taking a turn. My rear tire was bald, but for some reason it didn't sink in. Like a buddy told me, "Hey, your tire's bald." But I had just I just bought that bike from trading another one in.
What kind of bike was it?
And it was a Suzuki something. It was like 100 cubic inch engine. So I don't remember the model exactly.
Okay. Crotch rocket.
No, actually, it was a cruiser, like a Suzuki cruiser.
Oh, gotcha.
Big size, kind of wannabe Harley lookalike.
Okay.
And anyways, when I traded that one in, whatever it was in my mind, I was like, oh, hey, I did all this work on my trade in, and I just kind of like assimilated or thought that it was on the work on the one that I just bought. So I thought my rear tire on my bike was fine, the one that I just had. And so for about a year, I was riding with the bald tire. Anyways, I take this turn. It was a long sweeping turn. It was like a 25 mile an hour recommended speed. I might have been doing 30, but I wasn't like speeding through it. And tapped on the brake because there was a car in front of me or something. And the rear brake, like the rear tire just like
traction
up. Yeah, lost traction, slid out sideways. And as soon as it caught the dirt, it just like turned over, just laid down. And I flew off of it. So I'm flying through the air and
like I see contemplating. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it was funny because, time really does slow down when your mind's like, moving so fast. And I see this chain link fence. It's about like 10 feet tall because I was by the airport. And I thought, holy shit, am I going to get diced up like that Resident Evil movie? Yeah. I'll probably get some road rash. I'm like, oh, fuck. Like I'll somehow end up, like in my mind, I was thinking I was going to hit it. And with my momentum and force, I was going to end up rolling underneath it is what I thought. Go through it, yeah. And I was like, oh shit, I'm gonna be in trouble because I can't climb over it because it's gonna be a chain link. It's got a barbed wire on top, and there's no way I'm gonna be able to lift it up. So they're gonna think I'm like a terrorist or what. And as I'm kind of thinking this, I'm like, oh shit, I'm seeing this big old pole like coming towards me. I'm like, motherfuck. So I'm trying to swim through the air because I for some reason I thought I was gonna just like hit it with my waist and just like wrap around it or something. And I'm thinking, fuck, I've never been on a cruise. I've never been to Europe. I've never done this. I really thought I'm going to die. I was like, oh, well, fuck. I never got to do all these things. And next thing I do is I wake up and there's a volunteer fire department guy just kind of looking at me. He's like, hey, you okay? You okay? And I look up at him. I was like, yeah. Like hard of breath, hard of breathing. And I try to get up. I'm like, oh shit, I can't move. And I had for like half a second, an instant of panic, like, oh shit, I'm paralyzed. But
oh shit.
That was like a really quick thought. And then I thought, okay, calm down. Like I'm super chill. Like I'd let very little things get to me or bother me. So like, okay, hold on.
This would be an exception.
Well, even then I was like, okay, let me wiggle my toes. All right. My wiggle toes, I can wiggle them, bend my ankle, bend my knee. Ow, my right knee kind of hurts. Like I can move it. It felt like it was kind of like, so that was not a fun way to find out that your hip is actually 3 bones or bone structures.
Oh, so do you have problems to like to this day with it?
It's cold until January, February. Whenever I did my hypnotherapy episode, like then it went away. Like I'd always had trouble peeing. Not that it hurt to, it was just like I couldn't get a solid stream out. I had some ED issues. And then always constant pain, like it was just pain in my bones. And after I did the hypnotherapy, like,
really,
yeah, it was like gone. I could pee in streams. ED issues went away. Like it's not like in my 20s where I'm having like hard-ons every 20 minutes all day long, but they're better than they were when I just broke my hip. And then the pain is infrequent too.
So I'm sorry to interrupt. I'm fascinated by the hypnotherapy. I've always wondered because I always heard that you have to believe it's going to work for it to work for you. Did you go into it thinking it would work, or did you go in skeptical? Or
I went in a little bit skeptical because I was like, might as well give it a try. Like I've tried all kinds of other things. I've tried acupuncture, chiropractor. Acupuncture does help as well. It kind of like relieves the pain there, but there was something in my subconscious is just saying like the pain is still there, the pain is still there, the pain is still there. And excuse me. So everybody is one of two things. They're either physical or an emotional as far as how they process things. So with the hypnotherapy, that kind of, you do a little survey and that tells the hypnotherapist whether to do things. You're feeling sleepy, you're feeling tired versus that'd be my type of way to understand things. And for an emotional person, they would need, if you feel comfortable, you can go ahead and do this. You might feel like your eyes are getting heavy. So it's more of suggestion versus direction. And that's only difference as far as the verbiage, but it still works the same way. So I dealt with that.
One session?
Say again?
One session?
It was one session for that, but I did like 3 sessions on different things. One was like for pain. One was for, the pain helped the most with the ED. Then another one that kind of focused with the ED. What was the other 2? There was like 2 more and I forgot what they were about. Help sleeping, because that was another thing, because I was always in pain. So I was in pain 24/7, and it was like between a 7 to an 8 as far as my pain was, like all the time in the bone. If I stood too long, it would hurt to stand too long. I'd have to sit down. After sitting for a while, that would hurt. After laying on my back, it would hurt. So there was really nothing comfortable for more than an hour at a time. So I was averaging 5 to 7 hours of sleep per week, not a night. I'm talking like per week, like with my Apple Watch, I was getting that much. And that's why I have like all these darkness under my eyes so much. Well, I mean, not that the listeners can see now, but in videos or whatever, my eyes have really dark bags underneath them. And now,
well, if you guys at home can see him right now, there's 0 bags, so you're lost.
Well, no, there's some bags still there, but it is
no inside baseball, man.
No, sorry. What was it? I'm getting about 5 to 7 hours of sleep a night now. So
per night,
fucking amazing. So
that's crazy. Yeah, I always wondered about hypnotherapy. It fascinated me.
I got a guy, so if you want, I can tell you offline who he is.
Yeah,
or whatever. So
yeah, I seriously might look into that, because I would love to sleep more. That's for sure. I don't sleep enough as I sleep. I'm clocking in about 4, depending. But I've always been a night owl, so it's kind of tough to once you're kind of geared that way. But
I prefer night shift myself too.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I worked grave for 4 years for the DOD, so it was it was I got used to that. I loved it, absolutely loved it. But then there's times when there's a communion party or something, or it's the next day's Thanksgiving and or whatever.
So 2 hours of sleep, and then you got to be up and at them. Yeah.
If that, and then you have everybody coming up to you like, "Oh my God, you haven't slept." They keep reminding you that you haven't slept yet. It's like, that's great. Yeah. You don't have to remind me. You don't have to ask either. You already know. Right, well, that's so. Actually, that kind of goes into the next thing I wanted to talk to you about. Now, you said that you like CBG and CBN. Now, I'll be honest, I had to look those up because obviously I was familiar with CBD, but so CBN, from my understanding, that's like a sleep aid, right? But the CBG is stronger than CBD,
and it's more geared towards pain. So like each one is different. So CBD is kind of like the overall that covers all the things that are psychoactive as far as weed. CBN, and I forget, I usually know it and I always forget, but the N, the way I remember it is for night time, because it helps you sleep. And then the CBG,
it's a different N word,
right? And so then the CBG is it helps with pain. It helps with like people with Parkinson's and other things that are like different ailments that they have. Yeah. So any problems that anybody has, each different type, and there's more. There's like CBA, G, N, D, C. I think there's like 8 of them total. And so it's same thing with THC. It's like THCA, THCB, all these other things.
So do you smoke?
No, not anymore.
No?
I never really liked smoking. Or I take it back. I used to smoke as a kid when I was like 12-ish. My mom busted me, made me smoke a carton of Marlboro Reds. And
wow,
when she busted me, I was just smoking like
Not even inhaling.
I didn't even really inhale.
Mhm.
And she goes, no, you get. And so I inhaled it, and I was like, oh man. So I was nauseated, wanting to throw up. And it wasn't until I got to like the 4th pack that I realized I could just blow on the cherry and make it burn faster. Because, you know, so I was just fucking blowing through them. And
That's what she said.
Right? But
dang, she really made you smoke a carton.
yeah, she made me smoke a carton,
crazy.
no food, only water until I got done. And so since then, I've never liked smoking. I can do like a clove cigarette or a menthol from time to time, but I can't do just like plain cigarettes. And smoking weed just like reminds me of that. And even when I tried, there's like a volcano. It's a brand name thing where essentially it burns off the weed into a bag.
I'm familiar.
The bag, so it's just a pure THC smoke, not the carcinogen smoke of the burn of like the ash. And that's a little smoother and easier for me to take, but I still prefer just edibles. So I would just do edibles for CBD and CBG. Yeah,
but
CBD is fucking amazing because I mean it's kind of like a blanket everything for ailments.
Yeah,
just relaxing, chill. So it's not really for me. It's never been a high. It's always been like, okay, my muscles are relaxed. I'm just more chill overall. But it's not so much mental. It's more like my body realizing, hey, you don't have to be tense. You don't have to be like, you know, ready for anything. So
yeah, like kind of like I've taken a Xanax before, and it kind of feels like that, and maybe not as intense because Xanax really makes me go to sleep like right away. But yeah, I was an avid weed smoker. So when CBD came out, I couldn't wait to try it, and it never worked. I learned my lesson. I learned it the hard way. But let's see here, and bear with me here. I'm trying to read the notes here that we sent. Oh yeah, I did want to touch on one thing. We were talking about. I asked if you thought. Basically, my question was: do you think that people that speak about death more often are more likely to meet their maker sooner? And I liked your response because you said, I think we go random. Other than a suicide. Do you want to elaborate on that? I've
known a lot of people and I've seen a lot of death in my life, mostly in my like early teens or tweens. And so I'd always been jaded about it. Even with like COVID, like I'm like, oh man, please. I was hoping that like me personally, ideally, I would wish the human population would be down to about 1 billion, like worldwide. And so that's basically to 1/6. So even more so than what Thanos was pushing for. But anyway,
yeah, he was a little bit of an underachiever. That's a good point.
But so, I've known people that were always, oh my God, I'm going to die when I'm old and this is going to happen to me. And other people are like, oh, I don't want to talk about it because they'll bring about it. So that kind of had the same mentality of being fearful of talking of something, of, manifesting it or making it happen. But even those people, they would talk about it a lot and they lived to their 60s and 70s. Other people never heard them talk about it and they died at 15, 14. So I don't think that talking about it brings it about as much. I mean, it could be one of those observation things. Like if you pay attention and look for it, like if you have a brand new car, if it's a red Ford F-150, then you're going to see all the red Ford F-150s you drive past. Yeah, so it's maybe something that you notice more if you talk about it, but having been the person that talks about it and doesn't, I've outlived a lot of people and, I haven't seen a difference one way or another.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, I kind of followed up that with a kind of a corny little joke about I put like Tupac, Biggie, or Lisa Left Eye Lopez, and I should have phrased it differently because the reason I said that was because Tupac obviously talked about death, Biggie talked about death, and I don't know if you've seen the documentary or not about the last days of Left Eye Lopez. It's really a good documentary. I don't know if you've seen that or not, but I
know she died young, but I didn't realize or know if she sung or talked about dying young.
She talked about it constantly. Right before she died. I mean, not right before, but she went and spent months. Oh God, it's going to kill me. Anybody listening that has seen it knows, but I don't want to say El Salvador. It was somewhere in Central America.
South America, yeah. She was there for a while, kind of like trying to get her head straight or something, and she died down there.
Yeah, but they have footage of the car accident as it happens. It's crazy. Shit. Like someone was filming when it happened.
Oh wow!
In the car, but I mean, you don't really see anything. I mean, you see, right? But she was ejected, obviously. But she was. But I don't know. All I know is that was my reason for it. I should have been a little bit more clear because I think Biggie was kind of just saying whatever Puffy told him to say. I don't know if.
Kind of, but yeah. I mean, I saw like some of the documentaries, and then some of like the behind the scenes stuff. What was it? But yeah, actually, they were documentaries. But yeah, about Biggie and Tupac.
It's a really twisted story, man. There's so many.
and it's just like guys being too proud to fucking have a conversation,
Yeah. Well, I mean, the whole thing stemmed over. I mean, this all started when Suge Knight's best friend was killed outside of a nightclub in Houston, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
And that's what this whole thing started over. That was with the beef and everything. It's crazy to once you hear that and you're like, it's insane. Both of those guys gone. I mean, Tupac was. He was like the poster boy. He wasn't even, I mean, no offense to anybody who loves Tupac, because I'm a huge Tupac fan as well, but he wasn't even really a gangster. Like he assumed that role after he played it in the movie.
Yeah. He was also, he was in Digital Underground.
Yeah, absolutely.
For 2 albums.
Yeah. Yeah. That was his first, when he wanted to hang around with the underground. Yeah. Yeah. I remember seeing Tupac with the big high, the flat top that was like sideways. It was like diagonal. Ailments.
They have, yeah. So any problems anybody has, each different type, and there's more. There's like CBA, G, N, D, C. I think there's like 8 of them total. So it's same thing with THC. It's like THCA, THCB, all these other things.
So do you smoke?
No, not anymore.
No?
I never really liked smoking. Or I take it back. I used to smoke as a kid when I was like 12-ish. My mom busted me, made me smoke a carton of Marlboro Reds, and
wow,
when she busted me, I was just smoking like
not even inhaling.
I didn't even really inhale. And she goes, no, you get it. So I inhaled it, and I was like, oh man. So I was nauseated, wanting to throw up, and it wasn't until I got to like the 4th pack that I realized I could just blow on the cherry and make it burn faster, because so I was just fucking blowing through them. And
that's what she said.
Right? But
dang, she really made you smoke a carton.
Yeah, she made me smoke a carton.
Crazy.
No food, only water until I got done. And so since then, I've never liked smoking. I can do like a clove cigarette or a menthol from time to time, but I can't do just like plain cigarettes. And smoking weed just like reminds me of that. And even when I tried, there's like a volcano. It's a brand name thing where essentially it burns off the weed into a bag.
I'm familiar.
The bag, so it's just a pure THC smoke, not the carcinogen smoke of the burn of like the ash. And that's a little smoother and easier for me to take, but I still prefer just edibles. So I would just do edibles for CBD and CBG.
So concludes the first part of the interview with Gallo. Thank you guys for listening. Make sure to check out everything that we talked about already. You know what to do. Spread the word. I want you to go pick a fight with a whole city, with an entire city, and then send them our way. We need those subscribers. All right, everybody, be safe out there, and don't do anything I wouldn't do. Or do.
And I'm out.